Hello, Atlantic Scalar peeps. I'm here, Dr. Lisa Mentis at AtlanticScalar.com, reading your weekly bedtime story, My Life After Death, a memoir from heaven by my son, Eric Metus. So let's continue with the crossing over component. Even then, it hadn't completely dawned on me that I had crossed over because I thought that meant crossing some line or walking through a door. The whole thing felt like a journey where everything I experienced seemed to happen all at the same time. I had no desire or need to fight or resist what was happening to me, even though I didn't know what I was where I was going, and what the fuck was going on, Eric. It just was, and that was so fucking awesome. As we walked, at first all I could see around me were beings in that bright, bright light. It was during this walk with his Aunt Denise that I realized these beings weren't human looking. They looked like light with a shape to it, and sometimes they morphed into different shapes, sometimes something no human could ever do. That's when I realized that they were spirits, not people, and that if they were spirits, then I must be one too. When my mom and Michelle, his sister, captured me in the photograph looking like an orb of light, I just figured that was the way the camera caught me. Up until that point, I'd only seen spirits represented in human form, so it was a little confusing. Some of the spirits were skipping, smiling, and messing around. If I saw people acting like that on Earth, I would have thought, what the fuck have these people been smoking? It didn't feel fake, though. It felt natural to me, authentic. After a while, my surroundings changed, and I started seeing some stuff I'd seen on Earth and some that I hadn't. So this gets a little bizarre, but bear with me here. I promise it's super cool, too. Imagine a very Disney-esque landscape, but even more colorful and vibrant. There were lampposts and walkways and things like that. It kind of looked like a park. I also saw all sorts of creatures that I've seen on Earth, like butterflies, but these butterflies were different. They had long, colorful trails behind them. It was like they were leaving rainbows in their wake, and the rainbows were shooting out sparkles like you'd see on a Skittles commercial. It was bizarre, but kind of cool, too. As I was walking along, spirits would come up to me and say, "Go this way." "Okay, now go this way." They were all smiling and pointing in one direction or another, and I ended up in this really open area that looked like a utopic version of Earth. My surroundings were beautiful. They filled me with what I can only call joy. I would discover later that it's our natural state to be fulfilled here, and we create that fulfilledness for ourselves. Let me explain what I mean by that. We create whatever we need in each moment. So like here, I could be friends with the butterflies that were flying all around me, but in human life, I'd be like, "Oh, it's a butterfly. Okay," and move on. I never think to be like, "Hello, Mr. Butterfly, let's be friends," because that would be dumb. And here I can, and it's the most natural thing in the world. I can interact with anything and anyone I want, because everything and everyone is connected. And this all makes me feeling fulfilled. And somehow I knew this intuitively from the moment I got here. During the walk with Denise, I met all the dogs that I had as pets growing up and started talking to them as if they were human. Every pet owner's dream, right? They knew what I was saying, too. It was like my words got translated into a form that they could understand. I learned later that there's a universal language here that everyone speaks. It's the language of energy, and it's instantaneous. Whatever I needed to communicate to anyone here was understood immediately. As we walked, the light that was still pervading everything all around us got brighter and brighter. Denise took me into a space that was kind of like a room. I felt like I'd crossed through a doorway into yet another dimension to get to that space. She brought me over to a crescent-shaped table with 6 spirits behind it. What followed was like an emotional communication. I really don't know how to explain it any better. Later, I found out that the room and the table were totally my own creation. Not everybody gets the team behind the table thing. I'd created that visual setup because it just seemed realistic to me to be addressed by elders who knew better. Each spirit creates the version of their transition that resonates best with them, whether they're aware of this or not. I thought it was a little weird to see that there weren't any lines of spirits like you'd expect to see at the pearly gates. I was just being presented. I didn't recognize these spirits, but I knew that they weren't there to judge me. Even so, I felt like I was standing up in front of a class about to give an oral book report, and I had no idea what they were going to do and what was going to happen. The 6 spirits were tall, and the closer I got to them, the more intense their energy felt. I think their tallness and their strong energy are metaphors for their wisdom and the experiences they've had, but they didn't make me feel like they were better than me. We all have certain skills, both in our human and in our spirit forms. And these beings' skills were wisdom and compassion. I could just feel the wisdom oozing out of them, and that drew me to them. I knew that they were the ones who would help me understand what was going on and why and what was about to happen next. Before we get to what happened next, though, I want to explain something to you guys. First of all of you who cross over, and that's all of you, it's all about what you make it. What I'm trying to say is that how you get into heaven, or whatever you want to call it, it's heaven for me, so that's how I refer to it, will be based on the belief systems you maintained while you were alive. For example, if you think you're going to go to some through some big ass tunnel and be absorbed by a great white light, that's what'll happen. That's what you'll create for yourself. Same thing if you believe you're going to open your eyes and see your loved ones right off the bat. Other people think that when they die, they'll finally get to chill out because life's been so hard on them. So they'll get a shitload of rest before anything else goes down. A lot of people wonder what happens to atheists after they die, including atheists. If you're an atheist and you believe in the whole ashes to ashes thing and think that when the lights go out, that's it, and you just disappear, then you'll simply cross over into blackness, nothingness. If the blackness is where you want to be and how you find your peace once your physical body has died, then that's where you'll stay. However, some atheists who enter that blackness may have thoughts like, where am I? Or, where's the light switch? They might realize that they don't want to be in permanent blackness, so they'll call for help, and once they do, they cross over to the place I'm in now. I crossed over the way I did because I didn't have a structured belief system of what would happen after I died. I didn't think there was nothing after death, though, and that's why I didn't cross over into darkness. I figured that something would happen to me after I pulled the trigger, but the only thing I knew for certain was that it was going to be different, and it was going to be better. I think that not having any idea what the fuck would happen to me was why I didn't cross over right away. Instead, I hung out for a few beats first, which gave me time to say my goodbyes. Once I'd done that, it was like my crossing over just happened to me, as if some visible force yanked me across the finish line. It's different for everyone, though, and so is the rest of your transition, which is where we're going next. Thank you, guys. Check out AtlantaScalar.com and subscribe so you won't miss the next bedtime story. Thank you.